Poverty Franchise Podcast. Let's go. New look, new sound, hopefully. I won't know until I listen to it. How you guys doing?
Go ahead, Frank.
Man, it's. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, we off Zoom now. We got this new program, which is seems pretty nice so far. It's running smooth. We can hear Ethan's cars in the background.
Bro,
it's wonderful.
It's not my fault.
I'm kidding. It's not that loud.
Oh, God.
There's no way.
Oh, I hope you can hear that in the final product.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Ethan, how you doing? Let us know.
Well, I've been straight.
Is anything on fire?
Well, I hope not.
His house. Get out of there.
I've been chilling though. You know how I be.
That's nice. Before we get into it, well, first off, for today's episode, we're going to be doing Pretenders or Contenders for the NBA, both Eastern and Western Conference. We're going to go through every team. There's a lot of teams where there's not a lot to talk about, but, every team talk about how legitimate we think they are as championship contenders, what their ceiling is, what their floor is, etc. But before we get into that, Poverty Franchise Player of the Week, Frank, start us off.
All right, man. So I had this happened. I think it was yesterday or it was 2 days ago. It was Detroit against the Bulls, and Jaden Ivey called a timeout when there's no timeouts left. They ended up losing the game. They were down 2, but they had a chance to tie the game maybe or win, and he called a timeout. But he's a rookie, but I think that's still kind of an L that you're a rookie and you call a timeout. You're a rookie. You don't get to call timeouts. You're a rookie. Who are you? But yeah, that's my Poverty Franchise Player.
Mine is Georgia defensive lineman, top 5 prospect, Jalen Carter. Carter, right? Yeah, I think it's Jalen Carter. I'm pretty sure it's Jalen Carter. Yeah, it's Jalen Carter.
Yeah, it is Jalen Carter.
He was suspected for racing, and then he got his teammate and one of his coaches killed in an accident or something.
Oh,
yeah,
potentially. We don't know yet, but not a good look.
Yeah. But yeah, that's not the brightest look on him. And yeah, he's participating. I think he participated in the combine today, or he was said to. But
yeah. I'll check. But I would imagine he did so. Do you have a second one, Ethan, or was it just that one?
No, it was just that one.
Okay, well, I just thought of a second one right as we speak. The first one I want to talk about, Ja Morant. He allegedly beat up a 17-year-old.
Whoa.
Shout out Ja. Ja is trying to go from rags to – actually, not from rags to riches, from riches to rags. She's trying to make it out the league. Of course, these are allegations, so we don't know. However, this isn't the first allegation of Ja Morant and guns, because I don't know if you guys heard about this, but earlier this year, he had a situation with the Pacers security guard where apparently he drove, when he was leaving the arena, someone in his entourage flashed a gun with a laser sight on it at one of the security guards. So, I'm just waiting for some more information. I don't want to say he's a bad person or anything, but not his first allegation. My second Poverty Franchise Player of the Week, who I have a question about afterwards, is Damian Lillard, who dropped 71 points. I mean,
oh yeah,
he's on a pretty mediocre team in Portland. They're not really going to do anything. Well, as we'll talk about later, they're probably not going to do anything. He dropped 71. I never would have thought that 2 players would drop 70 in the same season, so shout out Dame. And the reason I wanted to bring him up, because for part of that game, it looked like they were going to end up losing to the Rockets. In the third quarter, they gave up a really large run to the Rockets, and I was like, dang. If Dame drops over 50 and they lose, I already know what everyone's going to be like. Get him out of Portland. But on that topic, we all know Dame's not leaving Portland, but hypothetically, if you could bring any player to Portland, who would you want to see play next to Damian Lillard?
Boka.
Giannis? Who you got, Frank?
Realistic or not realistic?
Either or, you can do both. I mean, let's start realistic.
Realistic?
Yeah.
I'll just say a Kawhi.
Kawhi.
I know. Go ahead.
I did a 2K My League where it ended up being Kawhi and Dame. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it'd be a good
Come back to me.
Yeah, well,
For me, my bad, Frank. For me, for Dame, I think you have to have someone who can defend. And I'm just trying to think. I really like Jaylen Brown in Dame. I just don't know if he would ever leave the Celtics. I know Jaylen Brown is a free agent in the next coming years. I don't think it's this year, but the year after. So I don't expect him to leave Boston, but hypothetically, if he were, Dame and Jaylen Brown would be a really cool duo to me.
I agree. Yeah.
I think
Um,
Jaylen Brown compliments like everyone in the league.
Yeah,
100%.
very
He's
true.
one of
I
the-
don't
Just
think there's a star player he just can't play with.
Yeah.
Right. Just like Clay.
Yeah,
When does Bam's contract expire?
no time soon. He already got an
There.
extension.
What about Jimmy Butler?
No time soon.
Uh,
They both got contract extensions.
I guess. I don't know. I mean,
There's not a lot of players available. That's the thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a clip of a different pod, and they were saying Joel Embiid goes to Portland.
It's funny you brought that up because when the Ben Simmons trade rumors were starting, I was really big on the Blazers trading Dame for Ben Simmons and a bunch of picks because I thought Ben Simmons was like the best young player you could get on the
Right.
market.
Yeah. He
So I
was
like,
at the time.
Dame to Philadelphia. Jokic. Embiid and Dame is an elite duo. That's the best duo in the league by far. So that's Harden and Embiid times like 10. So I mean,
You think? Yeah. You're right.
I think that's a great duo, and it is real. At a time, it was relatively realistic. Now I don't know how much.
AD.
Anthony Davis.
I mean, I know the availability wouldn't be there, but like whenever he is on the court, and if he does stay healthy for that season, then I think they can make a good run.
Dame and Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is interesting.
Okay.
I like that. I think it would be cool to have Dame pair up with a big rather than another guard as the second best player. Dame and CJ was cool for what it was, but I think for Dame, I think you need to have
Okay.
him, a really good defensive big, and then a lot of guys around
Yeah.
him.
I mean,
I think just having two guards just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Has it worked in the past? If we're thinking about it,
Steph and Clay,
That
but
isn't-
in a way that's different.
they had Draymond.
Right.
That
Just two guards, you mean?
like CJ and
Like something like that?
Dame.
Two
That's
guards.
not. Yeah, that's not going to work out. Like if it was I think if it was like Jaylen Brown and Dame, it wouldn't work out either. Just because I think you need someone who's a big forward or a center that's at least close to all-star level, in my opinion.
Let's see. I'm going back to the list of NBA champions to see when the last time it was that a team whose best two players were both guards.
I think the formula is like a decent / great big, and then like the guard could be slightly worse. Like think about it, like the Bucks team with Giannis and Drew. I mean, yeah.
Now that I think about it, I'm really looking, and it's kind of arguable for some. Obviously, the most recent one is Steph and Clay. If you're saying Clay is better than Draymond, it would be Steph and Clay in 2015 before they got Kevin Durant.
Right.
But before that, where the team's two best players were guards, I don't think any of us are going to argue that Ray Allen or Rajon Rondo was better than Kevin Garnett or Paul Pierce.
No.
I mean, the 2004 Detroit Pistons, maybe, they had Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups, but they also had a really just good team around that. And you could argue Ben Wallace was the second best player, depending on what you really are looking for. So,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't typically happen where the two best players on a team are guards. So, I mean,
Like,
that's a really interesting point. I've never honestly thought about the fact that just doesn't really work out.
I mean, like it's fun to watch, but like to
Yeah, it
win,
is.
it's not going to work out.
Kyrie and Luka, for example, that's a fun team to watch,
Mhm.
but we'll get on to them later. But yeah, now that we're done talking about Damian Lillard, let's get into these pretenders or contenders. Let's start out East, and then we'll make our way out West. I feel like the West is the more interesting one, so let's just go through the East really quick and kind of pull up the standings. So, as of Today is March 2nd, 2023. The Pistons are 15th in the conference at 15-48. Do you guys feel they're contenders or pretenders?
Mm.
Now, hear me out, guys.
There's a universe where they just win out.
Cade Cunningham comes back from his season-ending injury, and they play, and they actually win a few games. They can make the 10 seed. Yeah, no, they're not contenders.
Oh man, they're terrible. 15-0 and 15 wins.
Yeah, so I think we can just group in the Pistons, the Magic, and the Hornets. None of them are contenders. I don't think they're pretenders either, though. They're just not that good.
Yeah,
Like, I wouldn't call them pretenders necessarily.
they just suck. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, first team I feel like you can talk about a little bit is the Indiana Pacers. They currently sit at 12th in the conference at, let's see, what's their current record? 28-35. They're 1 game back of the 11 seed and 3 games back of the 10 seed, so they're just out of the play-in at the moment. How are we feeling about the Pacers and their chances of contending? Even if that's not for a championship, but just like in general.
I think they could just slide into the playoffs. It's doable.
Yeah, well, they're only a couple games out of the 10th seed, right? You make the play-in, you have a couple good games, right? Because anything can happen. These are NBA players, right? Any team can win on any day, depending on how things go, right? So maybe they do slide into the playoffs. They're gonna get swept right when they get there.
No question.
But you know what? That's as a Pacers, like
It's great to make the playoffs.
100%. It'd be great for them to make the playoffs, all of them.
Because it'll build that morality and then it'll like jumpstart that young core.
Yeah, and you get two games at home, right? Right?
Yeah.
You get 2 Pacer home games in the playoffs. That's great.
Yeah, even if they lose, so I mean, you still get 2 Pacers home games. Plus, they're kind of out of contention for Scoot or Victor, so it's not even in their best interest to try and tank because they're so far ahead of the Hornets and the Pistons and the Magic, and even out west, they're so far ahead of the Spurs and the Rockets, who are horrible. So, like, there's no chance they get Victor. I mean, I wouldn't say there's no chance because with the new lottery standings, you can always jump up, right? So, I mean, we saw the Pelicans jump up. Every year we've seen one team move up quite a bit. So it's not impossible, but I wouldn't bet on the Pacers getting Victor Wembanyama. That'd be kind of shocking. If all of those teams fell for the Pacers to get him, that'd be kind of weird.
It'd be all rigged. Just like every year.
It's always rigged. I currently have the Basketball Reference playoff probabilities report that has the results of the NBA season based on 10,000 simulations of the remainder of the season.
Damn.
And for the Pacers, and we'll go over this for all the teams that we talk about. For the Pacers, in their absolute best case scenario out of the 10,000 simulations, the best they ever finished was 44-38. That would have them still at 12th in the conference. They still ended up having the 12th record in the conference in comparison to every other team's best record. And at the absolute worst, they win 29 games, which means I think they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would win 1 more game for the rest of the year, essentially. I think it's a little bit more likely that they are around the 37 win range. So I'll say I wouldn't bet on them to make the playoffs, but it's possible, I'll say, if they do make the play-in. I don't even think I would bet on them to make the play-in either, really. I think the Bulls and the Wizards have a little bit more upside than the Pacers. But the Pacers are really good, I'd say. Not really good, but good enough. They're not a poverty team, you know. Moving up, we got the Chicago Bulls at 11, who recently just named Lonzo Ball out for the season. Not a surprise. I think we all knew Lonzo wasn't playing this year. Yeah. How are we feeling about Chicago as a contender? They just brought in Patrick Beverley. They beat the Nets by like 60.
That's got to make them contenders, right, to add Patrick Beverley. Because you saw what happened when Patrick Beverley was in Minnesota. They won a championship, right? Because
you saw the celebration.
The celebration, 100%. That was obviously
that's a legendary moment right there. Like
100%. Yeah. Well, Ethan, what do you think about that championship?
It was crazy, you know. Put the C on his back, you know, repping that C on his chest.
There's not a lot of dogs out there like Patrick Beverley. Like, there's not a lot of guys who can play for like 30 teams and lead one to a championship like that. LeBron never did that. LeBron's never gotten traded and leaded the team to the championship. I'm just saying. We
Definitely
really
has
need to
not.
be having these conversations about who's really the GOAT.
That's right. I think so too. And we got to stop talking about LeBron.
We need to stop talking about Mike.
Yeah.
Pat Bev really has that dog in him for real. I mean,
All right. We're a bad podcast.
uh,
Um,
Chicago, how are you feeling legitimately?
Chicago, I think, just like Indiana, you just hope for the play-in at this point. You have some good stars, right? You got DeRozan, Levine, who can win you games. Let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
which with their scoring purely, not all the time. They're the 10th seed, but I'm just saying, you just aim to make the play-in. That's all.
If you're a Boston Celtics, right, and the Bulls hypothetically are the 8th seed, are you scared of the Bulls at all?
No, no.
Not one bit. Not an ounce
I
of
will not be scared of the Bulls. No way.
fear.
You're not scared of Vucevic?
Who's that?
Vucevic, Nikola Vucevic
I'm just joking.
is the best Nikola in the league for real.
Yeah.
Vucevic. They average about 39 wins throughout every simulation, which, not very good. That's a losing season. For me, I don't think that three works of Lonzo, DeRozan, and Vucevic. I really don't like it. I felt like they should have traded someone out of that three. I thought maybe Levine would have been interesting to get moved because I didn't like the three. I don't know where they would have traded those guys, or maybe even trading DeRozan. I don't know. I just don't like how that roster is constructed, and they already are in too big of a hole, and they didn't make any move that was big enough to dig them out of that hole. They didn't bring anyone in that was super interesting. They brought in Patrick Beverly, but that wasn't a trade. That was just a buyout thing. And I don't actually think they made a single trade. I'm not sure, but I don't think they made a trade. So I think it's fair to say they are not contenders. Would you consider them pretenders? Are you guys disappointed by how their season has gone? Did you have higher
Well,
expectations?
they have nothing to pretend for, though.
That's true.
I didn't have expectations,
For
honestly.
the Bulls?
No, I don't. I mean, maybe I was expecting playing at least. I was expecting a play-in appearance. That's all I was expecting.
You had low expectations. I'm trying to pull up where I had them in my Eastern Conference standings predictions. I had the Bulls as a 7 seed.
Oh man, I don't even have that anymore. I probably put them high.
It's just in my notes. I put Bulls at 7 seed. They somewhat improved the roster. I expect less of DeRozan, and I doubt the health of the roster. I mean,
it's possible I had him as a. No, I mean, I don't think I expected Cleveland or New York to be higher
good
on the
as they
list, right? So maybe I did have him. It's possible I might have had him in the playoffs, but even if it was, it'd be 6 seed at most. But still, no high expectations.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call them pretenders. I mean, 7 seed is still better than what they are now, so I guess maybe I should be a little disappointed. But in the long run, either way, I had them losing in the first round. So.
Right, exactly.
I had them at the 9th seed.
So none of us had super high expectations. It's not like any of us had them as even a legitimate playoff team.
No. And to go on what you were saying, Khalil, they're just kind of stuck at this position of being mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like when they first they were in the playoffs, weren't they? Against
Milwaukee.
Did they win one game?
Yeah, I think so.
They did. Okay, so I think once they reached that point, they were like, we're okay with being sort of mediocre, but a sort of playoff mediocre team to where we'll always get bounced in the first round, but we want to be competitive, right? But it's not competitive enough to win a championship, so you really just gotta, in my opinion, the best option is just to blow it up, right?
At what point though? Because they don't have many.
The picks, they don't have their picks. That's also a problem. so they're just stuck. I don't know. Maybe you should have to be mediocre for another couple years and trade everybody away.
Yeah. So last year the Bulls did win one game against the Bucks. It was the second game of the series. They tied it up 1-1 and then lost 3 straight. So.
Dang.
Again, they were without Lonzo, and it really does suck because whenever I look at the Chicago Bulls, I do know they were a good team. I mean, last year they won 46 games.
They were good.
And they were good to start the year, and then Lonzo got hurt, and it really hurt them later on, and they still ended up with 46 wins. It just sucks that it doesn't seem like Lonzo is going to be back anytime soon.
No, you'd probably
'Cause this,
take him next, like not even beginning of next season either.
yeah, because he's not even close to coming back. It's not like he's making progress. He's not even close to coming back. He's still struggling to. I
To
heard
walk.
they said he was struggling to walk.
That's
run.
weird. What?
Like,
What'd you do? Like,
I don't know.
Can't walk?
It's really scary because honestly, if it maintains like this, Lonzo's career might be done. I don't want to bet on it. I hope he can come back because he is really good. He has done a lot to improve since his few early years with the Lakers. But I mean, the dude hasn't played in 1.5 seasons, and he's still not close to coming back.
yeah.
So,
Well,
not a good look.
we move
Anything
on.
else on Chicago? Chicago peaked. They averaged, like I said, about 39 wins. They peaked at 46, and their floor was 32 wins. So, next is the Washington Wizards, the most frustrating and annoying franchise in the NBA. How are you feeling about the Wizards at the 10 seed? Do we think they are a threat to anybody, or are they just another team in the East?
They're just another team in the East who's going to get knocked in the first round.
If they even make it to the first round.
I'm just happy for Kuzma, who's just been having a good season. I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs. I don't think they're not going to make it. They're going to lose their playing game if they do like stay in the play-in at the 10th seed. But I'm just happy Kuzma changed his hair from being like a buttercup.
Yeah, now he looks like a regular person.
He used to look yellow. It was like oh man, Twitter's going crazy.
Did you see? Twitter was going crazy when he wore that one outfit where he had the.
Oh yeah, the balloon outfit.
Yeah,
that was not.
He's such a LA kind of guy, though.
He is LA.
He belongs in a big market. He needs to go to like the Knicks or something, somewhere big, not Washington.
No, Washington. Knicks would be cool.
Free Kuzma.
Put him to the Sixers. Sort of big market.
Sort of big market.
I'm not really that crazy. For me, I don't like the Wizards whatsoever. I don't like the team they have constructed. I don't like Bradley Beal that much. I think he's pretty overrated. Not overrated because I think a lot of people don't really talk about him that much, but overpaid. Definitely overpaid.
Overpaid, 100%.
Porzingis isn't. He's not the worst, but he's not the best either. But they do have a lot of good talent around them. Like they have KCP.
They don't.
Wait, no, KCP was in Denver.
He's in Denver.
They had KCP. They have Kuzma, Monte Morris, Denny Advia, who is pretty solid. They just have a lot of guys who are pretty decent, but overall the roster is not great. I think it's pretty low upside, and it doesn't have a lot of continuity.
That's where I'm on the other side.
Like it's just a lot of players.
That's where I'm on the other side. I think they'll make it to the championship. Johnny Davis carrying them 60 points per game. They'll win it all.
What is Johnny Davis averaging? 1 second. What is Johnny Davis averaging on the year as a rookie? Because he hasn't gotten talked about at all.
He's averaging 1 point.
1.2 points per game. He was the 10th overall pick.
That's terrible. That's
horrific. I mean, like, he's played in 5 games this season.
Oh, well, why aren't they playing him?
Actually, no. He's played in more games than that. Wait. No, he's in the G League. They drafted someone at 10 overall and sent him to the G League.
Oh, like that's some 2K stuff where he comes back being like 10 overalls higher.
They're trying to up his development points. They're sending him to development camps.
Hey, untap his potential.
Johnny Davis is unhappy with how things are going currently.
No, I don't know, man. Look at this player news, though. It's just a day ago, no, 2 days ago. So Johnny Davis, efficient from field in the loss.
He had 25 points. 4
That's
rebounds,
not bad.
3 assists, and steal in 33 minutes. And
5
Monday's
threes.
to the Blue Coats. Not the Lakers, not the Bucks, the Blue Coats.
The Blue Coats.
He's maybe a G League All-Star. But you know what's crazy? They invited G Leaguers to the Rising Stars Challenge, and he didn't even get invited to that. So
that's actually funny.
He's a legit rookie in Rising Star, and was in the G League and still didn't get invited, which is so crazy. But like I said, the Wizards are really bad, and I do on a later episode want to kind of talk about front offices and kind of rank them as far as what they've done in maybe the last 3 or 4 years. And the Wizards are definitely a team that has had zero direction for the last few years. So I have very low expectations for the Wizards. Okay, we are now we're not in the positive tier. We're still in teams with losing records, but barely. The Raptors are at 9, the 9th seed currently. They're currently 31-32. How are we feeling about Toronto? Because I feel like, for me at least, Toronto is the first team that can be somewhat a threat. I think they're a very solid team. To win a couple games, I think they're a threat, legitimately.
I think they're a team that can make some noise in the playoffs, pull an upset in the first round, and then that's it.
Depends on the matchup, though. I don't know about a first round upset because the top of the East is so top heavy. But as far as making the plan, I honestly think they're the best team that is currently second best team that's currently in the plan, second or third. I mean, depending on how you guys feel about the Atlanta Hawks, who will be on next. But Toronto has a really good roster. I mean, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, who's having a pretty inefficient season, but he's still pretty solid. Gary Trent Jr. Obviously, you have Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. They just got Jakob Poeltl. They're currently playing, actually, and they are playing against the Wizards, and they lost. So maybe we're disrespecting the Wizards. Maybe the Wizards are legit. Maybe they're an elite team. My bad, Washington. Yeah. But they did just lose. But then again, I mean, they have so many defenders. They have a lot of guys who can hit the three ball. Pascal Siakam is one of the most underrated stars in the league. It's a good team. It's legitimately, in my opinion, a good team that's just not good enough to be a legit playoff threat. But good team, great coach. I think they can make some noise in the play-in, no matter who the match.
I see them as like well constructed. They just need that extra oomph, like that little push. With that.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
exactly. They need Kawhi. They're a star away from being actually well.
But yeah,
that's true. That's true. If they had a star, they'd be up there.
And that's one thing I wish we would have gotten to see. I wish Kawhi stayed in Toronto for more than one season.
Me too.
It would have made the East. I mean, the East is really interesting now, but imagine the East that we have right now. You still have the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Cavs, the Knicks, who I think are legitimately good. And then you add in the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. That's a really good team. Obviously, they probably don't have Scotty Barnes in that situation because they wouldn't be bad enough to get Scotty, but still a really good team.
Right. Then you still have Kyle Lowry for some reason. He'll probably still be on the roster if that happened.
Averaging 12 points per game and 4 assists or something like that.
Something like that in a charge game.
Yeah. He's just one of those guys. He's got that dog in him, like Patrick Beverley. He's another one of the GOATs in the league.
How did they get Gary Trent again?
The Blazers just traded him to get rid. I don't know. Let me.
That's right. That's right. It was for Norman Powell.
Yeah. Norman Powell for Gary Trent Jr. That was the trade.
Yeah.
And now they don't even have Norman Powell. Norman Powell is a Clipper.
And they traded him for what? Someone trash.
Yeah. They traded Gary Trent Jr. for Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a second-round pick.
Oh man,
that's horrible value.
It is, and they traded Gary Trent just because they didn't want to pay him.
But he fits way better next to Dame than I think even Anthony Simons does.
I think so too.
Something completely different. He's a legit defender. He can put up a good 17 points a game.
But Simons is better at this point.
Yeah, better player. But I think if you're talking about someone you want next to Damian Lillard, I think I'd rather have Gary Trent Jr. next to Dame than Anthony Simons.
Oh, what? Gary Trent's averaging 18.
Yeah, he's been legitimately really good. And he's on a team that has a lot of mouths to feed. I honestly think if he was on a team that had less, shot creators,
he would average 30.
Okay, maybe 20. But yeah, that's definitely one of the worst trades. And again, another team that needs to be talked about as far as front offices go, Portland, who we'll talk about when we make our way over to the West. Let's speed it up because I want to get to the top of the East a little bit. We're at Atlanta now. Atlanta is the 8th seed. They're actually a team that is currently in the playoffs. They are 31 and 31, 500. They have a new coach in Quinn Snyder. They still have John Collins, Deontay Murray, not Deontay, DeJounte Murray, Trey Young, Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter. Good starting lineup. Solid bench. How are you feeling about Atlanta? Are they a legit 8 seed? Are you scared of Atlanta, or are they just an 8 seed?
Frank, go ahead.
They're just there. They're pretenders. Not even like, but they have nothing to pretend to. Again, like they're. I don't watch many Hawks games, but all I know is that Trae Young averages what 28 and 10, something like that, and didn't get an All-Star vote. That's probably because coaches don't like him.
Or players, or the media.
Right. No one likes him, which I understand. I do like Trae Young because I like watching him go to New York and make them mad. It's really great.
I mean, then again, he's shooting 43% from the field and 35% from three.
Oh no, he doesn't have good splits like that. He doesn't.
He is really inefficient right now. Like,
He is.
Oh no, that's not even this. That's not this year. That's his career. This year he's shooting 43 from the field and he's shooting 33 from the 3-point line. So he's actually extremely inefficient, averaging 27 and 10. So
Yeah, I mean the Hawks have, like you're saying, they have good players around Trae Young, but I just don't.
my thing is, from every game I've ever watched with the Hawks since they've gotten DeJounte Murray, the way their offense is formatted, it's not a lot of DeJounte Murray and Trae Young being teammates. It's just like, okay, DeJounte, this is your turn to ISO and be the pick and roll ball handler. Okay, now that you're done, you're going to go stand on the wing, and Trae Young, it's your turn to be the pick and roll ball handler and run the offense. There's no Trae Young playing off ball. There's no DeJounte Murray playing off ball. It's the offense is really lifeless.
They're basically just taking turns running the offense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more you can do with that. The main thing when the Hawks got DeJounte Murray, everyone was talking about, oh, now Trae can play off ball. This will make his game so much better, but it really hasn't.
Right, he doesn't do that. That's not what he does. We talked about this, I'm sure. When his trade happened.
And I already had really low expectations. I'll just say that for the Hawks. They were the team that I was the most down on that everyone was high on. Not you guys specifically, but just in general. I had the Hawks as the 9th seed just in general. Again, when you look at the roster, their roster got worse. They just added DeJounte Murray.
Right.
I mean, the bench got worse. They lost DeLon Wright. They lost Kevon Huerter. They just lost a lot of bodies on the bench, and they brought in one guy. I will say, talent-wise, they still are, really good. They have a lot of upside because you do have Trae Young, you do have DeJounte Murray, but just in general, the way the roster is constructed, not the way the roster is constructed, but the way the offense is, it's a little too not static.
Stagnant.
It's a little stagnant. That's the word.
Yes.
And you're also adding a new coach with about 20 games left in the season. So I don't think that's going to really work out. Maybe they'll win some more games and get it together, but you still have to – you're playing under a new philosophy. So it's not like you can just get a new coach and you play better. You got to – how that coach wants to run their offense and the plays they want to run and the way they want to scheme defensively and all of that stuff has to be taken into account, So I really think they are pretenders. And I wouldn't be shocked if they moved down to the 9th seed and the Raptors overtook them because it's a one-game difference.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know if you guys have anything else to say on the Hawks.
I think, Frank, you have anything else to say?
No, let's just move
Let's
on.
move on to the Heat.
Miami, 7th seed.
Miami, the Heap, as our friend would say.
Keeping the sheets.
Oh, what?
The Heat in the sheets. They're 3 games above 500 at 33 and 30. They have 19 games left. How are we feeling about the Heat? Are they legit contenders or are they pretenders?
I don't see them as a legit contender. I just kind of have them kind of being there.
Okay, so currently they play the Bucks, which is crazy because I feel like these teams play each other every single year in the playoffs. If you're the Bucks, are you scared of Miami at all? Not one bit.
Maybe a little bit.
No. Are you scared of Jimmy Butler, who is 20% on 2 attempts per game from the 3-point line?
No, You got Bam to put on Jimmy. Sorry, Giannis. I don't know. I don't have high expectations. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami goes out. I don't think Miami's gonna get swept. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I don't think they're getting swept. because they play hard. Like that's like the reputation as that's the reputation that we see. I don't maybe obviously that's not going to happen all the time, but
They play
like
hard.
in like the culture is like they got a strong
Heat culture
culture.
is real. Heat culture is real. I don't
Heat
care what
culture
anyone says.
it is
Heat
real.
culture is so real. Heat
Uh,
culture is so real. The
right.
teams that are ahead of them, or the two teams that are ahead of them that are worth talking about, are the Nets and the Knicks. So there is a world where they move up to the legit playoffs. They're currently out of the playoffs. They're a playing team. If Brooklyn falls off, uh, in comparison, because we're going to talk about the Nets next anyway. Right now, Nets or Miami Heat? Who do you have as the better team?
Mm. Um, the Heat should be better,
Hmm.
but I don't know if they are. I
The
got
Heat has more star power,
check.
but I think the Nets are better constructed around.
Nets have a way better team all around.
Yeah.
Like depth wise,
Yeah.
oh my! The Nets have like 11 playoff rotation worthy
Yeah.
guys. They just don't have a superstar at all, or
5,
anything
6,
close to that. They don't
7,
even have an all star.
8,
Don't sleep on
9,
Mikal
10,
Bridges.
11, 12.
Mikael Bridges is
It's like 13 players. God dang.
Yeah, they have a deep roster. I'm really excited to see what they do with the roster in the offseason because there's a lot of guys who they can trade away to like legit contender teams if they want to move towards more of like a young rotation kind of team.
Bro.
Ben Simmons being one of them, you know.
No, I should keep him on the
When
team.
you counted your 13 people, did you consider Ben Simmons as a playoff rotation guy?
Yeah.
I'm not playing Ben Simmons in the playoffs. I'm gonna just let you know that. He's not. I'm not playing Ben Simmons anymore in general.
He makes a lot of money though.
So
Gotta play him.
nah, the Rockets didn't play John Wall. Actually, they did. They played him with Justin Patton.
Man, these guys suck.
These guys are awful. Sorry, John.
This is the funniest
Sorry,
thing.
Houston.
Nah, he's a poverty franchise player of like the decade. That's what we were
A
saying.
decade.
Of the like forever. Like
Poverty franchise player MVP,
I think
John
so.
Wall.
John Wall.
Honestly, I think the Heat are legitimately the better team in comparison to the Nets. I think the Nets still have a lot to figure out because the way that their offense was formatted was so ISO heavy because they had two of the best isolation scorers in the NBA. And now they don't really have a true isolation scorer. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie sometimes be cooking in ISO. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes he get in his little bag, hit a little tween, pull up mid range. I mean, like he's got that in his bag, but you're
Yes, we,
not wrapping your offense around Spencer Dinwiddie ISO. So
no, I think yeah, as we're talking about the whole ISO thing, Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler are both like better players down the stretch to give the ball to.
oh yeah, and we all know Jimmy Butler's going to turn it up 1,000% when we enter the playoffs. He's been consistently one of the best playoff performers
Yes.
in the last few years.
He's gonna do everything he needs for his team to try to win.
Play 50 minutes a game.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just
More than regulation.
So realistically, by the end of the year, do you guys expect Miami to maintain the 7th seed or Brooklyn to drop down to 7?
I could see them hitting 6.
So,
I can see them passing them.
Strength of schedule remaining.
I can see them passing the Knicks. Not Knicks, Nets.
I hope they pass the Knicks.
The Nets have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th hardest schedule in the Eastern Conference. The Heat have the 10th hardest schedule in the Eastern Conference. So
Not so different.
yeah, the Nets still have to play the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nuggets twice, the Sixers one more time, the Cavaliers 2 times, and the Kings. The Heat have to play the Grizzlies, the Sixers, the Cavs twice, the Knicks 3 times, the Nets, and the Mavericks.
Some hard games.
Yeah, both teams still have a lot to go through.
Yeah.
But I would say I expect I would hope Miami can take that playoff spot just because it would kind of suck if you also have to play in the play-in and then you still have to go play in a series, Against no matter who you play, who ends up being the 1 or 2 seed, you're playing one of the best teams in the conference. You're not really going to get a break.
What is Toronto's ranked for how their schedule is?
Toronto has the hardest schedule left in the East.
Oh, never mind.
They have to play the Bucks twice, the Celtics twice, the Nuggets twice, the Sixers once, the Heat once, and the Clippers.
Oh God.
Man.
But the Sixers are right there in second. They have the second hardest schedule. So.
That's unfortunate.
And it's not by a huge margin. Like, it's pretty much identical. But yeah, I think. Do you guys have anything additional to say about the Heat
No.
or the Nets, or we could just skip the Nets by
Let's
extension?
skip the Nets.
Okay, we're moving up to 5. The New York Knicks. Are the Knicks legit? How are we feeling about the New York Knickerbockers?
No,
Pretenders.
they're
Not legit.
pretenders. Yeah,
They're
they're so
pretenders?
pretenders. I just saw Julius Randle on the roster. You already know they're pretenders. Yeah, come on, man. You can't have a. That's just not gonna happen. No,
Do you think they're like championship pretenders, or you just think they're legitimately not that good? Because I think they're genuinely a good team. I just think the East is too stacked for them to really do anything this year.
I agree with that more. Yeah, it's not. I don't hate the Knicks. I'm on a Nick hater. Just
And I also think they have the worst matchup ever. Not the worst matchup ever, but like they're not going to get a day off. They're as of right now, if the playoffs start today, they're playing the Cavs. So I mean,
shoot, that's a better matchup
I'm
than.
taking the Cavs 10 times out of 10, pretty much against New York. As although I do think New York has a really good roster. But if you're Cleveland, how scared are you of the Knicks?
I say decently
It would be
challenged.
it would go to 6.
I think
It's not
yeah.
what-
No, I think Knicks definitely get
It
2
could-
games
it would go to
for
6.
sure.
It could go to 7.
As far as the probabilities report, they peaked at 55 wins, and the worst they ended up at is 40 wins. So, pretty big drop off. As far as how hard their schedule is going forward, they have one of the easier schedules. They play the Celtics one more time, the Nuggets one more time, the Cavs one more time, the Kings, the Heat 3 more times, the Clippers. But they also have games against the Rockets, Hornets, Magic, Pacers twice, Trailblazers, and Lakers. So
You said the Heat 3 times.
yeah, they still have to play the Heat 3 times. So
Interesting. Okay.
which is really weird. Like you would think with 20 games left, there'd be no team that would have to play another team 3 times.
Yeah. 2 at the most. Like
Right. But 3 is kind of crazy. That's like the whole season series, pretty much. So. But yeah, I think the Knicks are legit a threat to most teams. Even if the Sixers played the Knicks,
I'd be scared.
I don't like that. I don't love that matchup for any team. If I have to play the Knicks in the first round and then I have to go and play one of the top 3 seeds, you're going to be exhausted. You have the short end of the stick because the Knicks are by far like who was before them? To me, there's the Heat, then there's a huge jump and it's the Knicks, and then we have another jump and it's the top 4. To me, I don't know if you guys agree.
I think it goes
We
to the
can-
top 3, not exactly top 4.
Top 3. So would you consider the Knicks
I
and the
consider
Cavs
those
to
two
be
teams in the same tier.
in the
Yeah.
same tier? That's interesting. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I think Julius Randle's played really good this year. He's not, most improved Julius Randle, but he's better
Yeah.
than he was last year. Jalen Brunson has been a legitimate star player.
He has.
And it's so crazy because his contract was looked at as so awful when it got signed, but it's legit one of the best contracts in the NBA. He's 26, he's playing at an all-star level, and he's getting paid less than all of the other 26-year-olds that are going to be playing at an all-star level. So it's a good contract now, and it's a good contract going forward. You also have Mitchell Robinson who can defend. You have Josh Hart.
Oh, that's
You
right.
have
He's there
RJ
now. Huh?
Barrett. Inconsistent, but a third option. So, I mean, you can't really be mad at RJ Barrett as a third option. It's not like he's the second option anymore. The Knicks are just a legitimately solid team. They have a lot of guys. Derrick Rose. They have who else? Why can't I think of anyone else on the Knicks roster?
Jericho Sims.
Jericho Sims, the worst All-Star dunk contest participant of all time. Emmanuel Quickly.
Quentin Grimes has been good. He starts at point guard.
Isaiah Hartenstein. Evan Fournier, who's on a really bad contract. But for the most part, it's a really solid roster. Is it the Knicks or not the Knicks? The Cavs definitely have the better top end talent. But I don't think the Knicks are sorry. I think the Knicks are like legit a good team. And they just they kind of got the short end of the stick where I think their absolute ceiling is a divisional round, or not divisional round, it's conference semifinals appearance. Because it's just like I I don't know if I would pick them to even beat the Cavs, but I would say it's an interesting series where I could see them win. But when it comes to Boston, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, I would comfortably pick the other three teams, although I do think they'll put up some sort of fight.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
All points.
You guys move to the top four? Cleveland is at 4. They have the easiest schedule in the Eastern, and I actually believe they have the easiest schedule in the NBA thus far, or remaining. I was watching a Cavs game, and they also have no more back-to-backs for the rest of the season. They only have 17 games left. They have the least games remaining out of any team in the season, so they don't have to play any more back-to-backs. As far as the hard games they do have left, they have the Celtics one more time, the Sixers one more time, the Knicks one more time, the Nets twice, the Heat twice, and the Hawks. But as far as the easy games, they still play the Hornets 3 times. It's literally 3 free wins. They play the Magic twice. They still have games against the Pacers and the Rockets, and they have a game against the Wizards. So I would hope they can win at least how many games is that? That's about 9 games. If you can win 7, pretty solid. It's still, like you were saying earlier, Frank, those are still NBA teams, so they can win a game, but I would hope you can win most of those games.
Right.
And then you obviously have the other games against the top-end opponents. But how are you feeling about Cleveland as legitimate NBA contenders? Are they actual championship contenders, or are they not in the same tier as those 3 teams?
Frank, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Well, first I'll mention what you said earlier about both of you guys about the tiers. Like, even you think Cleveland and New York are together, right? See, I wouldn't be I can see the Knicks beating the Cavs in a playoff series, but I just think Cleveland's just a little bit higher than the Knicks for a range. But then when you look at the big 3, they're not in that at all. So if we're talking who would come out of the East, I'm not taking Cleveland. I would just have to go with the big 3. There's no, I think they're pretenders. But I hate to call them pretenders. Like, they have a good team. It's just
like the top 3 are so good.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Stop pretending.
If you had to give it a percentage chance as far as how likely it would be for the Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference, what are you saying it is right now?
0%.
0%?
I mean,
yeah, 0%.
I would say it's like 10. No, because
10%. Check Vegas.
Check the odds.
Check the odds.
Always know.
They're always right.
If they win it, right? Like, they win against the Knicks, they play them first. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then if the Sixers, if Embiid goes down, boom. And then if Jason Tatum goes down, boom.
Hey.
Oh. And then if Giannis goes down,
So
all 3 of them
just goes down.
3 of them.
Well, I guess okay. So I'll give less than 1% chance.
It's not high though.
Okay, so according to the playoff probabilities report, they also have odds as far or percentage chance of winning the conference finals and winning the finals. The Cavaliers have the second highest percent chance of winning the conference in the East. They're
Second?
Yeah, they're second at 25%.
Who's first?
That's a little high. Boston.
That's just.
It's a simulation, so there's some flaws in simulation. Obviously, it's not perfect, as we can see clearly by the fact that the Cavs have a higher chance to win the East than the Milwaukee Bucks.
Bucks, no way.
No way at all.
No way. Sixers, you can make an argument if you really wanted to, but like Bucks, no way. No way.
Even Boston, 0 way. I think they don't have a higher one than the Boston Celtics, but
no, not. I said the Philly. Like, you can make an argument for Philly if you want to, but yeah, Boston, Milwaukee, definitely not.
Do you think it's possible that they end up being the 3 seed because they do have the easiest schedule left in the NBA? The Sixers have the second hardest schedule in the East as far as how it ranks in the NBA. The second hardest in the NBA just in general. Do you think there's a possibility where Philadelphia falls to 4,
Cleveland can squeeze in,
and that happens?
They could squeeze in, but
if
it would raise the bar, and then it would make them look like even higher pretenders. Yeah.
If they were in the top 3,
I think it would too.
If there's a Sixers Knicks series, Frank, you're a Knicks or not a Knicks fan, a Sixers fan. How are you feeling if you're playing the Knicks in the first round?
We're killing them. Embiid's gonna go for 70
on Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, no, okay. As a non-biased fan, I think we still come out of there. The Knicks are still good enough to take maybe a couple games, I would say. And the Sixers are notorious for giving up games in the playoffs. Annoyingly, like the Hawks, the Nets with D'Lo in them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're a better team than we were before, but not that Jimmy Butler team.
Oh
That
my
was the best
gosh.
team.
Hold on. Luca and Kyrie combined for 82.
That's it.
They both had 40.
That's it.
You gotta do more.
They both have 40.
Wait,
Well,
what?
shout out the Mavericks. I can't wait till we get to the West because it's going to be so much more interesting. Let's run through these last three teams. If you guys don't have anything else to say about the Cavs, we have Philly. Is Philly legit? Are they in the same tier as Milwaukee and
I
Boston?
think they're like the clear third. Like, yeah.
Of the
Like,
Philly?
they're like, yeah, they're like the
I-
clear three. And then for Milwaukee and Boston, that's like 1A, 1B.
Mhm.
That's what I see.
Do you think they're a legit championship contender? Like, could you see the Sixers winning the Eastern Conference, making the finals?
I mean, I suppose.
As of right now, if the playoffs started today, they're playing Brooklyn in the first round, and then they would have to play Boston in the second round, assuming Boston beats the Heat. So you got Boston in the second round versus Philly. That's going 7, I feel like. Then assume the Eastern Conference goes chalk, right? Other than the Sixers beating the Celtics, you then have to play the Bucks in the conference finals. So they have a really tough road. That 3 seed is going to have the toughest road imaginable, because you have to play both. You assume you would have to play both the 2 and the 1 seed.
It's true.
But I mean, as far as how good the roster is, Joel Embiid is playing like a top 3 player in the league. James Harden has played really good. He should have been an All-Star. Tobias Harris has been really good. Shouldn't have been an All-Star, but like he's been good. I mean, you still have solid role players around DeAnthony Melton. Tyrese Maxey is one of the better 6 men in the league when he's not starting.
Yeah.
You got PJ Tucker, who can be good. You got a lot of guys, and the Sixers have won a lot of tough games. They've also lost a lot of tough games, but they're still legit. To me, they're still a legit championship contender. It's just their road is going to be really hard, especially for 2 guys who don't have the best. What's it called? Reputation in the playoffs.
Playoff track record.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're contenders, but as Ethan, you were saying, that 1A, 1B thing for the Bucks and Boston, it makes a lot of sense. Based off reputation and a bunch of other things as well. Just, they're still part of like the big 3 to make it. But I think Boston and Milwaukee have a bit of an edge, I would say. Does Boston play faster than Milwaukee? I'm trying to think about their play styles. Because Sixers play super slow. Like they're pick and roll,
Super slow. Like just
pass to Embiid. Like and he like pump fakes. Like
jab step 3 times.
Jump step, and he just fade away. Like
With
it works. But maybe you get tired. You have a younger team when you place the Boston. It's a younger team, and they run. You got Derek White. We can talk about Boston. Are we going to transition?
Yeah, Boston is actually next because they are currently the 2 seed. The Bucks just overtook them recently, I think. But Boston is legit. I don't think anyone here is going to call them pretenders, unless someone is. I think they're a legit championship threat.
Lakers fans are going to say they're not.
Yeah, because of that one game, that single game of their whole season where they robbed the Lakers with that foul. That was a foul. I will say it was a foul. But the Celtics are legit. Jason Tatum, to me, has been one of the top, 7 players in the NBA. You have Jaylen Brown, who's been super underrated this year. He's averaging like 27 as a second option. You still have Robert Williams, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, Derek White, Gary Payton, Grant Williams,
who's been kind of down a bit
mad lately, but in the playoffs, still a body you could throw. I trust the Celtics.
They got Brogdon.
Yeah, they have Brogdon. I didn't even talk about Brogdon. They have Luke Cornett.
Yeah, they got Mike Moose. They got your guy.
Peyton Pritchard. Like,
Blake Griffin,
yeah, they have Blake Griffin.
father Blake
That's
Griffin.
crazy.
Like, that's an elite team. They have an elite team. Blake Griffin is the cherry on top. Oh, and then you also have Jason Tatum, who's pretty good. So.
Right.
As far as according to the probabilities report, they peaked at 60 wins. Their worst was 44 wins, which I just want to know what happened in that simulation because they have 40 wins now. Oh, no, that was the Sixers. My bad. Their worst was 50 wins, and their best was 64. I was like, so the Celtics are going to win 4 more games? Are you serious? As far as how hard their schedule is, they're sitting about – they're on the bottom half of the Eastern Conference. They're at 6th hardest. They still play the Bucks, the Sixers, the Cavs once, the Kings once, the Knicks once, the Nets once. They play Portland twice, the Raptors twice, the Wizards once, Pacers, Spurs, Rockets all once. So kind of in the middle schedule. I wouldn't say it's super hard. I wouldn't say it's super easy, though, because I think the Raptors are a good team that could, compete for 2 games.
Right.
The only person, again, they've been really healthy, too. The only person who's had any sort of injury concern at the moment is Gallinari. So he's been out since the beginning of the year. So
yeah, he's going to be out.
On January 25th, Gallinari said that he wants to return during the postseason. So
during postseason, that just sounds like some stuff that it's not going to happen. You got to prove himself before he get there.
He might suit up.
They're going to put him out there if they have no other options.
Right.
Oh, Tatum's not playing well, but put in Gallinari.
Gallo, are you ready? I know this is
Are
your
you ready
first time in a year, but you got this. It's the conference finals. Carry us.
Yeah, the adrenaline boost. He might do it.
The Celtics are legit, though. No,
they're legit. And last thing, I mean, they have a lot of guys on that roster, but I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say like overrated or underrated for Derek White, but when I watch him play, like I was watching a Sixers game and he was just killing us. I'm like, dang. Like he runs, he shoots, he's a good defender. He does so much. And like he's not even like the top 6th player on that team if you look like on paper, if you think about it. Like he doesn't even start. He comes off the bench and does so much. It's just like they have a deep roster. I'm like, dang, this guy's doing all that. Anyway.
Let's move to Milwaukee. Last team, because we're already at an hour. I have the time, and we're already at an hour, so this is kind of crazy.
Oh, we should just save the West for a different episode.
Let's do another episode, guys. Next week, Milwaukee is the 1 seed. They're legit. I don't think there's anything that needs to be said. Oh, I did want to say one thing. The Bucks are legit playing with 3 Defensive Player of the Year candidates, and that just doesn't get talked about. They have Drew Holiday, who's probably either the first or second best perimeter defender in the NBA. You have Giannis, who's always going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And Brook Lopez has been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate all year. I don't care what anyone says. He's been really, really good this year. I'm pulling up his numbers at the moment, but he's been legitimately a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He is averaging, currently, this season,
14.7.
14 points, 6 rebounds. But he is also averaging a nice little 2.5 blocks. So.
You say 14.6 rebounds?
No, 14.6 rebounds and 2 blocks. 14 points.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's a perfect fit with him and Giannis at those spots.
They have a lot of bodies. They're deep. Jay Crowder just got there. That's another guy. And the thing that's scariest about the Bucks to me is they've been this good without Chris Middleton really being that great all year. He was hurt for the beginning, and then he came back, and he still hasn't been amazing. Still trying to get to form. So they're not even at their peak yet. So
no, yeah, Bucks are contenders, and they're since the beginning of the year they're my pick to go to the championship because I just trust in like everything they're doing pretty much.
And they've gotten better since then.
Right.
Okay, let's move to the West. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said.
So I think we could group the bottom 3 teams in: Houston, San Antonio, and OKC.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, don't do me like that because we're not even at that. Like, if Shea comes back and his ankle feels better and he's off of health and safety protocol, we can make a run. But yeah,
Shea top 3. Anyways,
what about Portland? Because Portland's under Oklahoma City. We're not grouping Portland in that group?
They could sneak in. They're just not going to make any noise.
I think we. they're yeah, it's tough. Dame had that good game, and you're just like, oh my
Yeah.
dang, they could be so good, but their team is just not it. It's not nothing's gonna happen. I don't think they even make the play-in. I really want them to make the play-in.
I want
Everybody
OKC
wants
to
them to
make
make the
it.
play-in just because
Okay.
they're a fun
Well,
team to watch.
let's have a really quick discussion. There's a lot of teams because the West is so weird. There's a lot of teams that are like in that weird playing spot that we could have a conversation on if they're going to move upwards or down. We have Utah, we have the Lakers, we have the Blazers, and we have the Thunder. Right? For the Thunder, Shea sprained his ankle. We've been 0-5 since the All-Star break started. He's in health and safety, so he's not going to be back for the next couple of weeks. So we're bound to go down, obviously. Kenrich Williams is also out for the rest of the year. So I think objectively you can say the Thunder are going down. Portland, there's nothing really pointing to them going really necessarily up or down. They're kind of just the Blazers. But if Oklahoma City is going to go down, what goes down must have something go up in return. So we'll say the Blazers are most likely going to move up to at least 12.
They are.
They are at 12 right now.
So the Blazers are at 12. Then you have the Lakers, who LeBron James is out for the next 3 weeks. I thought it was 2. He's being reevaluated in 3 weeks,
Yeah,
which is most of his schedule.
that doesn't mean anything. That reevaluating thing means that
Nothing. They'll
Nothing.
relook at it and see if he's close to coming back. So,
right.
and as far as strength of schedule goes, the Lakers have one of the easier schedules
West.
in the East or in the West. I mean, but I mean, Anthony Davis is also dealing with the foot issue. They added a lot of people. D'Angelo Russell's not playing right now. It's just a lot to ask for me to believe that the Lakers are going to be really good, or they're going to win as many games as they need to make the play-in. So, do you think there's a possibility that the Blazers are able to jump the Lakers?
I could see that.
Is that like
Because
a
like,
thing?
who's gonna carry the Lakers to a win?
If Anthony Davis isn't playing,
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell should be playing relatively soon. I don't think anything crazy happened to him. He just hasn't played the last couple games. D'Angelo Russell is dealing with some ankle issue. Anthony Davis could have played. Oh, okay. Anthony Davis is going to play on Friday, so he's good for at least the next game. But who knows with him? And then we know for sure LeBron will be
3 weeks.
reevaluated in
That's
about
still
3
a lot
weeks,
of
so.
time.
Well, Devon Reed can carry the team.
If Devon Reed comes in and just starts playing like an MVP caliber player, like we all know he can. I think the Lakers are legit, and not legit contenders, but legit about to fall off. I was so excited to talk about how good I think they're going to be even next year after their comeback win against the Mavericks. I was like, they've looked really good when everyone's played.
It's true, but are they going to be healthy?
Yeah, as soon as that happens, LeBron's dealing with a 3-week-long absence from the team. So
right, and Anthony Davis is the most injury-prone guy in that group, and he's not even the one most injured right now. That's kind of scary.
So I mean, you have Anthony Davis, who you're going to have to rely on to win you some games. D'Angelo's not playing. He's not playing their next game against Minnesota. So the Lakers are, in my opinion, poised to either stay stagnant at 11 max or go down. I don't really see – I have very little faith in them going up. Then at 10, you have the Timberwolves, who I think are comfortably better than the teams below them. I think they'll probably stay in from the 10 to 9 range. And what about Utah? I mean, since the trade deadline, they haven't been bad. I mean, All-Star game, they're 2-1 since the trade deadline, I believe. So, actually, no, they're not 2-1 since the trade deadline. They're about 5-2 since the trade deadline because the trade deadline's before All-Star break. They're about 4-3 actually. So, they've been pretty mid. They're staying about stagnant, I'd say. And it does. And Larry Markkinen, at this point, he's a legit guy. So he's good enough to win you some games. So are we anticipating a Jazz fall off or no? Stagnation.
Maybe it's one of these things where we don't see anybody fall off and everything stays the same, unless the Blazers do something. But I guess the Jazz have a decent enough team to stay at that spot. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. I'd rather see Portland in there. Everyone would rather see Damian Lillard in the playoffs than the play-in. You want Dame in a one-game elimination? Oh, come on.
Dame in a one-game elimination would be just elite.
It'd be like 100%, like great TV. Like
Dame versus Steph in a one-game elimination game. Like that'd be insane TV.
Man,
Would the
Warriors are
Blazers
the
win?
Warriors are
No,
the fifth
it
seed
would
right
not.
now.
No, it's crazy because
This-
like
oh.
they're all within
They're
one
looking
and a half
good.
games.
They are. It's so close.
It's really close. So hypothetically, what are you guys feeling is the? Oh, my bad. I was looking at the projected standings. Blazers, Lakers, Jazz, Pelicans, Timberwolves. That's like teams that are really close to that playing spot. So who do we anticipate to be the four or the two outside of the playoff playing teams? If you had to
Lakers.
guess? Because you also have to take into account Pelicans are without Zion.
But he's coming back.
Hopefully soon.
I hope so. But I think if he comes back, and he plays like 5 games or something like that, I would hope New Orleans stays at the 8th spot or moves
He's
up to the
going-
8th spot.
He's undergoing an MRI next.
That's not a good look.
Oh, what?
But he's
No, that's
making.
not good.
Apparently, he's making good progress, but they're just trying to take an MRI. So
Well, they want him back for the playoffs if that's what
they make the playoffs. That's
if they make the playoffs. Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting because you have the Jazz who are kind of stagnant, the Pelicans who have a lot of potential to move downwards rather than upwards. Lakers have a lot of potential to move downwards rather than upwards. I think the Blazers are really poised to take a little playing jump. I mean, that's two teams that I think can realistically move down. Someone's going to have to take their place. So
Cat isn't back either, is he?
Cat's been out since November.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, they know Cat hasn't been back. They've been playing without Cat for all this time, and they've been decent enough. So I'm not really expecting Minnesota to all of a sudden get worse. They've been without Cat the whole year. So.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I think we could realistically see the Blazers maybe sneaking at that 10 spot.
So Utah or New Orleans gets out, maybe?
I think New Orleans
or Minnesota.
No, Minnesota I think is fine.
I think it's Utah and the Lakers dropping.
New Orleans. You think the Utah's going to drop, though? I feel like Utah's going to just be stagnant.
Yeah, they could be.
Because they haven't dropped off yet. Unless they start resting guys, I don't think there'd be any reason for them to really drop off.
So you're saying, well, Pelicans without Zion, maybe that's when Portland gets it going.
Yeah,
or
Lakers, because I feel like they're going to comfortably jump the Lakers soon, and then they're right outside of the plan. And the Pelicans aren't that reliable without. I mean, they're good without Zion, but not as good as they should be. Right. And the Jazz are, questionable, but I feel like I'll have a little bit more faith in the Jazz right now. But it's interesting at the bottom. I mean, we could really jump up if you guys want to. I mean, we've talked about a lot of the teams on the bottom. We can realistically jump up to 7 at Dallas.
Let's jump to 7. Let's go.
So how are we feeling about Dallas? They haven't been particularly good since they've gotten Kyrie Irving. Do we think they're a legit playoff?
They need one more year.
Or a legit champion?
They need one more year.
One more?
Yeah.
That's if they can
Assuming they can keep Kyrie, they need one more piece.
Yeah. Which they won't get.
What are you thinking, Frank?
What?
What are you thinking, Frank? About Dallas?
I really want it to work. I love Dallas. Well, I like Dallas. Dallas is probably like my second favorite team, third favorite team, something like that. I love watching Dallas. So I really want it to work. I don't know if it will. So I'm gonna just. I'm gonna say they're pretenders.
I would say
they're pretenders this season, but as Ethan was saying, you give it another year. Hopefully, Kyrie comes back. Maybe make a trade. Maybe you need to get Tim Hardaway off your team. I mean, Tim Hardaway's good. He's good, but not for the money that he makes.
What are you saying? Get Dr. Bertans off the roster for sure.
Oh yeah. There's people that can provide, but they're getting paid too much for what they do. They're not bad players at all.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. is far from a bad player.
Yeah, far from a bad player. Every contending team should want Tim Hardaway on their team, just not for the money that he's getting paid. It's just not. Right. It doesn't help you for trying to win.
Bertans, honestly, I still think you would want him on the team just for a much cheaper deal.
He's an NBA player. He could be on a roster.
Right. I would also say they're pretenders. I would say the reason for me is the fact that they just have no defenders. Like, they have legitimately 0 defenders at any position. They don't have any defending wings. I will say Josh Green is a wing, so I'll say he's a solid defender. But he's like the best thing they have defensively at the wing spot. They don't have any defensive guards. I mean, they have Frank Ntilikina, who is a pretty solid defender, but like he's not going to be getting heavy playoff minutes, I would imagine.
He's probably getting
And
none.
it's really bad at the bigs, honestly. And I thought that was their strength defensively when I first looked at the roster. Christian Wood is not a good defender. Dwight Powell is not a great defender. And a
JaVale's all
lot
they
of
got.
playing at the same time. And I'm sorry, but if you have Dwight Powell and Christian Wood playing at the same time, I'm cooking. There's no defense. There's a lot of times where they run lineups of Luka, Kyrie, Dwight Powell, Christian Wood, and then insert Josh Green or Reggie Bullock at the 3. And that's not a good defensive lineup whatsoever. That's a pretty bad defensive team. So
Yeah, they're heavy offense. There was a statistic, but they played great help defense. Was it help defense? Or no, the stat was they commit the least amount of fouls like in the league or something like that.
yeah,
So
because the guys are just getting right past him. Like there's no one there to foul because there's no one putting up a contest.
I don't know if that's what it correlates to. Maybe a little bit, but I think I think that just shows a bit like good team defense because they have to double a lot, so that's why they're trying to get guys that are switchable. Obviously, it's not working. They got a bad defensive players, but I think like the Warriors, obviously they have better defenders, but they were kind of able to just be a good team defense rather than like individual player defense to make a somewhat
for good
impact
team
on defense.
Though, you need an anchor. Yeah.
You need something.
You do need something. You're right. But JaVale's there. JaVale McGee.
He's like their best paint defender, and then Josh Green is their best perimeter defender. It's like it's really rough.
It's so funny. The one game I watched from Dallas, like the last NBA game I watched was like Dallas, right? And JaVale had like 5 blocks. I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah, this is exactly what they need. And then he puts up stinkers rest like for the next like week. I'm like,
oh yeah, JaVale's got it. What did
JaVale's got it.
Let's check. JaVale McGee didn't play. Coach's decision. He's not.
Oh my god. He had like 5. He had 5 blocks like 2 weeks ago. Now he's not even playing.
9-man rotation right now,
which is fine.
In the regular season, which is
maybe not.
They're playing Tim Hardaway Jr. 20 minutes. I mean, like Luka and Reggie Bullock both played 40 minutes, and Kyrie played 42.
Reggie Bullock?
It's a regular season. Like Kyrie. I mean, I get it. You're trying to win games, but geez, they don't have any depth.
You gotta get used to the playoffs. They're gonna be doing this in the playoffs. You gotta do it now.
Getting them.
You gotta start early. Get them bodies used to it. Playoff shape.
Playoff shape right now.
Yeah.
As for the Mavericks, I'm pulling up their report right now. The Mavericks are currently 32-31. In the best case scenario, they finish with 50 wins. In the worst case scenario, they actually finish with 34 wins. I think they're much closer to being a 50-win team than a 34-win team, but like I definitely would consider the Mavericks to be pretenders rather than. I do not find them a legit threat at all. Currently, they play the Kings, which is a decent matchup because the Kings are very offensive heavy. The only difference between the Kings and the Mavericks is the Kings do have defensive bodies to throw. Like Harrison Barnes is a pretty solid defender. You obviously have Davion Mitchell, whose bread and butter is defense. You have guys who can defend. The Mavericks just don't have guys who can defend, and you're going against the best offense in the NBA. So, honestly, in that case, I'm taking Sacramento. Although the Mavericks have the star power to win a series. We know Luka plays really good in the playoffs. We know Kyrie plays really good in the playoffs, but the roster around them is just so poor.
Yeah. Gonna move on to the Clippers now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shoot. Clay, what do you think about Clippers?
It's hard. They made so many moves at the deadline that it's really hard for me to consider them contenders because they did so much. It's kind of hard to add all that stuff and then be good. I also am not a huge fan of Russell Westbrook's fit.
Yeah, we know you're not. He's gonna retire and it's over. His career's over.
But I mean, in the playoffs, in closing moments, you can't play Russ. I don't think
you shouldn't, but they might. You shouldn't. They might.
You shouldn't do that, but they have a lot of guys. I'd say it's a decently deep roster. A lot of guys who can play for you: Terrence Mann, Zubac, Batum, Marcus Morris, Norman Powell, Paul George, Kawhi, Rocco.
Yep.
We got Eric Gordon still, Bones Highland. good roster. I don't know. Kawhi and Paul George are great. They do play great in the playoffs. I just think they made a few too many moves in the middle of the season, and they're going to have a lot of guys who they're still trying to figure out the rotation because Kawhi and Paul George aren't playing every single game. You know?
Y'all
Oh my
remember
God.
playoff P?
Yeah, but playoff P is legit
I haven't heard
now.
that. I haven't heard that in a minute.
And forever, but playoff P is legit now. He's a legit good playoff player now. He just had that one moment, guys.
Yeah, no, but yeah.
Way off P, pandemic P. It was getting real nasty.
Pandemic P is
20
crazy.
2020, 2021, Paul George was getting so much disrespect. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because like the first game we came back post bubble, it was Lakers Clippers, and I remember Paul George
He passed the ball to
threw
the
the
ref.
ball. He
Yeah.
passed the ball to
in the
ref
corner.
in the first game of the season. You're like, oh yeah, pandemic P is back. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Ethan, though, what do you think about
I don't
Clippers?
know. I'm not crazy sold on them in making any. Like, I'm not crazy sold on them making much noise. You know, but
I don't think so either. Did you hear that car horn, Frank? Or is that just
No, I heard that. I saw your face. Yeah, it correlated. San Marcos,
yes.
all this crime going on.
Yeah, I would say they're pretenders, not really a contender.
I mean, like they have Donatello starting at the one, and like
yeah,
Yeah.
not great.
I want them to be contenders, really. But if you look at them as pretenders and the people above them, are they pretenders anymore? If you look at the
I'll say this,
competition,
I think they can beat anyone in a series. Like they're good enough to. I don't know if I'm betting on the Clippers though to like win the.
I'm gonna put them in contention. I'm gonna say contenders.
I would say they're more in contention than the Mavs. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, by far I'd say they
By
have
far.
a much.
I think they're more in contention than teams above them. That's my opinion. That's why I would put them as contenders because I can't make everybody a pretender. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. There's got to be someone who's good. That's true. Okay, you're probably right. They're a threat, I'd say.
I say
To win.
they're a contender, but yeah.
Okay,
Moving
yeah.
on.
Yeah, who we got next, Frank? Lead us.
We got the Golden State Warriors.
Are they legit? Let's go. Let's talk about it.
News report: Curry's coming back Sunday.
Who are
Maybe
they Sunday?
the Lakers.
Oh, that's an easy dub.
Easy
Which
dub.
right out there.
Well, you got Clay's been playing really good. He's been for the past month. Clay has been phenomenal the past
Clay's
month.
legit. He's back at this point. Like he's actually back to being Clay Thompson.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis.
I'm not sure what other injuries they have right now. I know Gary Payton's out still.
Yeah, he's out for a bit longer. But even when Gary Payton comes back, the thing that's so cool about that signing is the fact that he's already played for the Warriors, so it's not like he has to learn a bunch of stuff. Andrew Wiggins is out, but it's for personal reasons. I don't know what that entails, but he's out for personal reasons. It's not an injury related.
He'll be back. They don't even need him. They've been winning
They're
games.
only missing Iggy, who it's Iggy and Gary Payton. So they're not missing a lot. Steph is the big thing.
Steph's a big thing. Yeah.
Without
Them
Steph.
getting Steph back would skyrocket them.
Yeah, it's huge for him.
Yeah, I can't wait for Gary Payton to get back. just him in that lineup again. Oh, it's gonna be so
They're actually
great.
currently playing the Clippers, so I'm definitely looking forward to watching that when we finish recording.
They're playing the Clippers right now.
I'm going to look at the difficulty of their schedule. Warriors are on the second upper half of the.
Yeah, it's hard. I figured it was hard. Yeah.
Bucks once, Nuggets once, Sixers once, Grizzlies twice. Who, when they play the Warriors, are actually not that good. The Kings once and the Suns once. But I think we can all say the Warriors are legit contenders. We all know they're the league champs. If Steph is healthy, we all know that Draymond, Clay, and Steph they can get it done. There's no doubts as far as what they can do. They have depth. You know, there's not a lot that needs to be said about the Warriors. They're legit.
Let's go to the Suns.
Okay.
Are the Suns legit, guys? Are the Suns
I'm not
legit?
sold on them. I'm not sold on it, bro. Okay, so ever since them getting KD, they gave up depth, and eventually, CP0 rings, isn't going to work out well with that fit because, well, KD, he's like an ISO type player, right? So what's CP0 rings going to be there for? Just to stand there, be a traffic cone on defense. What's Devin Booker going to be there for? Move off ball. That's fine. But yeah,
They don't
they're.
have a lot of depth.
I'm not convinced on their bench depth overall compared to the other teams above them, and just around them, I should say. And it's just if one injury happens, then the whole like an injury being like a pillar, one of the players, that pillar is holding up the building. One pillar goes down, it's going to put a bunch of stress on the other pillar. That's eventually going to go down. The thing going down is the team.
Yeah, I think if like
how much does depth matter when your starting lineup is that good?
I mean, if you have people who go,
I think their
Starting
depth. I think their
They're-
depth. Oh my bad. You go ahead.
The starting lineup is one of the best in the. It's probably the best as far as name value in the NBA. Chris Paul definitely took a step back as far as how good he's been, but still Chris Paul. I mean, Devin Booker is still one of the best players in the league. Kevin Durant is obviously still one of the best players in the league. DeAndre Ayton is DeAndre Ayton. And then you have T.J. Warren and Torrey Craig and Darius Baisley, Bismack Biyombo. They definitely don't have a good bench. They also do. They did get Terrence Ross. They still have Cameron Payne. Their bench is pretty low quality, but again, in the playoffs, you're not playing the bench that much. You have obviously your guys who you play in the rotation,
I mean, like
but you're playing.
it also
starters.
doesn't help that those players have injury history. That's what I was trying to get
That's
at.
true. That is
because
another thing that
they're going to need to rest them to prevent injury.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't just play.
you
Chris
can't play
Paul
KD for like 42 minutes
anymore.
But you're
Probably you don't want to play KD for. You don't want to play KD 40 minutes if you don't have to.
playing Book the whole game though. I
You
think
can play
Cole,
Book as long as you really want. He's
Yeah.
gotten hurt throughout the year, but it hasn't been like he doesn't have an extensive injury history.
right.
He
So
also can play Ayton.
his play style though, kind of, he doesn't get hurt in his play style. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know?
But would you guys say they're contenders? Like, are you saying they're a legit threat in the West? I think the West is so wide open that you kind of have to say they're contenders. Although, yeah, again, they are very flawed.
I'll put them up there. I would still take Clippers over them.
Clippers over Suns?
Yes. But
I mean,
I'll put them in contenders.
Because it's like,
Another one?
oh my goodness.
Damn, dude.
I mean, the Clippers have the star value. I mean, they don't have the same star value. I'd say the Suns have a better starting lineup, but depth-wise, the Clippers got them beat. And Kawhi is no slouch in the playoffs. Paul George is no slouch. And Kawhi and Paul George both defend. It's not like they're really good players who you're going to have to play who are defensive liabilities. No, they both defend. They're two-way players.
Right,
So,
like who's gonna be? Guess who's gonna be on Booker and Durant if they ever
Kawhi
play
and
each
Paul
other?
George.
Collins,
Like,
yeah, they'll be on them.
Kawhi's going to take KD. Paul George is going to take Devin Booker. Then you got DeAndre Ayton. And then you have Chris Paul.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's valid to say Clippers over Suns. Clippers over Suns. It's close. I still think you'd go to like 6 or 7, but
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I'd say, Suns are legit contenders. Clippers are legit contenders. Let's move up to the Sacramento. Or are the Kings next?
Kings are next at the 3 seed.
Sacramento Kings. Are we feeling the Kings are a legit team? I'm glad
No,
Kings are
they are the biggest pretender out of the whole every single team in the NBA.
They're just like
Maybe not, but
they're just.
I'm not high on them.
Me either.
Mm.
I mean, they're good. I'll say that they're not a bad team. For a little bit, I was a little skeptical. Like they're scoring all these points. Obviously, that's not sustainable. No, they're just a legit good team. But come playoff time, not betting on the Sacramento Kings whatsoever. Not to win a 7-game series against really anybody. I mean, let's go by teams in the West. Who are we picking the Kings to win a series against in the West? So we'll start at the Blazers. Are we picking, hypothetically, if this matchup happened, are we taking the Kings over the Blazers?
Yeah.
Kings over the Lakers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kings
well,
over the Lakers with LeBron?
No.
Anthony Davis.
no.
With Zion.
Kings over Pelicans?
Well, maybe they do beat the Lakers just because they're fast and they're young and Lakers are slow.
And old.
Yes.
Kings over Pelicans
with
or
Zion.
Pelicans over Kings? What are we thinking? With Zion. Pelicans with Zion first, and then we'll say without.
Pelicans.
So with Zion,
I'll still take Kings.
with Zion or without?
Both.
Okay. Jazz Kings.
Kings.
Kings Timberwolves.
Kings.
Clippers.
Kings Clippers.
Clippers.
Kings Mavericks.
Mavericks.
Warriors.
Kings Warriors.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the way up they're losing.
Yeah. So
I think Dallas beats them.
Yeah.
They really do.
It's interesting because I will say the Kings have some defenders in comparison to the Mavericks who have zero defenders. But I mean, the Mavericks are going to take it to 7. Like it's not going to be like you're going to sweep the Kings, but I mean sweep the Mavericks, but it's definitely not a favorable matchup for either side. Honestly, I just think both sides are like, ugh, I really don't want to play this team. As far as schedule goes, they have the easiest schedule, so.
So they're gonna be in the playoffs still. They're gonna be up there.
No, they're gonna be in the playoffs. There's no way they miss. It'd be insane if the Kings somehow miss the playoffs.
No, yeah, they're not missing it with their schedule. It's just, I mean, we think they're pretenders, so well, they'll definitely win games. Will they win games
in the playoffs? Or
are they getting swept?
Oh, they're not getting swept now. They're
you sure about that?
They're winning a playoff game, I'd say.
You sure?
They're good enough to win one game.
One game.
I mean, is it going to be?
Yes.
The only game they win in the playoffs? Probably.
It's gonna be a game winner too.
Yeah, a De'Aaron Fox game winner.
Game-winning layup.
But they're a good team. Just wouldn't bet on them in the playoffs. Last two teams, Grizzlies, Nuggets. Let's start with the Grizzlies. Are the Grizzlies legit?
I don't like how John's talking.
No.
Yeah. Hey, that's valid.
They're a regular season team.
Are they fine in the West?
They're not fine in the West.
Not fine in the West? No. I definitely agree. I don't think they can get first. They might be the 2 seed now. They just don't have any veteran experience, and I do think that matters. It's a good roster. I'd say it's a really good roster, actually.
Triple J.
But
yeah.
Although his stats are kind of
home-sided,
interesting because of but it is what it is. Obviously, John Morant is a good player, a great player, all-star level player. Desmond Bain, Dylan Brock Lesnar Brooks,
Dylan Brooks,
Aaron Jackson Jr., Steven Adams, Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones is the best backup point guard in the league. Some would say.
I would say.
He's
probably the best backup point guard in the league.
Can you guys hear me?
What happened to Ethan?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
He's frozen.
Your visual.
Hold on.
You still got Xavier Tillman, Zaire Williams. It's a pretty decent roster, but I'm not picking the Grizzlies really over any team that has some sort of playoff experience. I would take them over the Kings, but past that, I'm not really taking them over anybody else. Maybe I would take them over the Mavericks, actually.
I'll take them over the Kings,
Grizzlies,
Mavericks, maybe Clippers, maybe.
And that's no. I'm taking them over the Kings and the Mavericks, and that's pretty much it.
I would say all those series would be very fought out.
Yeah.
Even if they won, but because Dallas is putting up a fight and Kings will put up a fight against Memphis.
Last team.
Woo!
We're already almost at an hour and a half, so let's go. Denver. Is the Denver legit?
Huh? Oh, legit.
Ethan?
Yeah.
Denver legit? You're the Nuggets. Frank, do you agree? Are they legit?
I think it's the hardest team to even rank. I really don't know. You got MVP, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I would take Clippers over them. So I guess are they contenders? Sure.
Contenders. But they're very flawed contenders.
Yeah.
I think
that's a good way to put it.
Out of all of the best players on any of these teams, Jokic is probably one of the bigger liabilities defensively come playoff time. Obviously, you have Aaron Gordon, but as it was highlighted in the Grizzlies game, where they got blown out. If you can get out and run, you kind of are going to beat the Nuggets defensively. Because one of your 5 players just really isn't that mobile. He can't get back that quickly. So if you really get out and run, you're playing 4-on-5 most of the game. And then again, if you have a guy like Stephen Curry, Paul George, Kevin Durant, like hypothetically, imagine the Suns are playing the Nuggets and Kevin Durant calls for a pick and roll and you have Nikola Jokic on an island guarding Kevin Durant.
Mhm.
Like Jokic really cannot guard the perimeter. It's really bad, honestly. And that makes him kind of a liability in the playoffs because there's a lot of pick and roll. It's pretty slow. Your star players are going to play a lot. I don't know if he already is slow as is. With drained stamina, he's going to be even slower. And then offensively, they can be really one-dimensional. Really, really one-dimensional.
You're not seeing it from this perspective, though.
So, I mean...
We run a play for Michael Porter, don't know how to pass the ball, junior, and he just shoots it off the catch. And if that doesn't work, then Jokic gets the rebound and passes it to Jamal. And then if that doesn't work, then Jamal just hits KCP for 3.
I feel like the Nuggets are one bad MPJ series away from just getting eliminated. Like,
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see it.
I think they're really fragile, in my opinion. Are they contenders? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how legit they are, though. I don't think they're the best team in the West by that much as their record implies. But
on the defensive end, I will say so. If we get a stop, or they miss a shot, we capitalize on it by getting points off on the other end. So that is something that the Nuggets do very well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing I wanted to say about the Nuggets. You guys' bench has 0 shot creation. It's really bad. After trading Bones Highland, in every game of the Nuggets I've watched post-trade deadline, every person on the bench just passes the ball to the next person.
We have Christian Braun, though, so it's okay. He's electric.
It's like driving kick every play. Reggie Jackson drives, gets a shot that's good enough for himself, kicks it out to Christian Braun. He drives, kicks it out to Thomas Bryant, who's been awful. And then he kicks it out to Bruce Brown. And then the shot clock, they get a shot clock violation because they didn't put up a shot quick enough. So their bench has no shot creation.
Yeah.
But they're better defenders, I'd say. The bench is better defensively. The starting lineup is probably worse defensively, but has way more shot creation. So you got to find some balance. I will say they do have a lot of good playoff caliber role players. KCP, Bruce Brown. Obviously, you have Aaron Gordon, he's a bit elevated past role player status, I'd say. But you know what I mean. He plays a role on the Nuggets. Obviously, you have Jokic who would play, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. And then I guess you're playing Thomas Bryant and Reggie Jackson. I don't know if Christian Braun plays in the playoffs. I mean, at the end of the day, he is a rookie. He's been good as a rookie, but he's a rookie. So.
At least he didn't pull a Jaden Ivey though.
That's true.
True.
He didn't do that.
He has a little bit more composure than that.
Yeah. So you're talking about flaws. What out of our 4 contending teams, right? We got Clippers, Warriors, Nuggets, and Suns. Who is the least flawed out of those teams?
The Warriors.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean.
You don't think injury is part of the flaws, or no?
Well, I mean, their biggest injury is Steph, and Steph's coming back.
Right, he is coming back.
Wiggins isn't even injured; he's just out for personal reasons. Iggy's out, I guess, but Iggy's 62, so.
Right, but we probably see the Warriors have a higher chance of getting an injury than the Nuggets.
True.
I would say. It seems like
if
that.
If the Warriors play the Nuggets, who are you taking?
I don't know. Big a series.
The Warriors, legitimately, there's no way you can have Steph Curry on the floor at the same time as Jokic, and you think the Nuggets are winning the game.
Okay, no, you're right. I take Warriors.
Well, you're giving me flashbacks.
Stop it. Playing really good.
You're giving me
Jordan Poole.
Stop it.
Jordan Poole. Pool party.
Gary Payton blocks Jokic's layup.
Yeah, and I will say Jokic doesn't really play amazing whenever you put a smaller guy on him because it's just even though he's bigger, like not a guard, but like a smaller big, like a Robert Williams, a Draymond Green kind
Yeah,
of
he doesn't do what Joel does. He doesn't like
guy. Because
kill
he's
him.
not fast enough to. He's too big for his own
He's
downfall.
too
That
big.
the guys who guard him are too shifty for him to keep up with offensively. So yeah, I would say the Warriors are the least flawed out of those 4 contenders.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through all of the teams we said are contenders really quick before we close out. I believe we only had 3: the Celtics, Bucks, and Sixers in the
No.
East. Did we say the Cavs were real contenders or no?
I don't think we did.
Okay. And then we had the Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, and Clippers. So those 7 teams are legit contenders. I think that's pretty fair.
Mhm.
It's going to be interesting, though, because the 4 contenders, specifically in the West, they're so like spread out as far as where they are close as far as where they stand. So the matchups are so close. It's the 1 seed, the 4 seed, the 5 seed, and the 6 seed that we have as contenders currently. So those 2 of those teams are going to play each other in the first round, most likely. But
Right.
yeah, we're already at an hour and a half, so time to conclude the Poverty Franchise podcast. Hopefully it sounds better, looks better. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll be back next week. Probably talking more basketball, maybe some combine stuff. But yeah,